Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going on a bit of a forager's journey. We are going to completely change the way you look at the ground beneath your feet. We're talking about taking what most people just write off as annoying yard waste, everyday weeds, and transforming them into a powerful, completely free apothecary. This whole thing is really about the basics of herbal medicinal crafting. It's about shifting your mindset, right? Moving from being just a passive consumer to becoming an incredibly empowered creator right in your very own kitchen. So first off, I want you to ask yourself a serious question. Are you actually killing your medicine? I mean, really think about the absolute absurdity of modern lawn care for a second. Every single weekend, millions of us are out there spending backbreaking hours in the hot sun, right? We're pulling, we're hacking, we're spraying, all to eradicate these incredibly nutrient-dense, pharmacologically active plants from our yards. We are literally actively destroying the very things that have healed us for centuries just so we can have this perfectly flat patch of green grass. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Honestly, it's the ultimate irony. On one hand, people are out there dropping $60 on toxic chemical weed killers just to nuke the dandelions and plantain growing in their grass. But then they get in their cars, drive across town to a health food store, and spend $55 on a tiny bottle of oregano oil supplement, or like $30 on a red clover extract. We are literally paying this massive retail markup for the exact same active compounds that are already growing for free right outside our front doors. So here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, medicine in your backyard. 2, water, covering teas and infusions. 3, alcohol, where we'll craft potent tinctures. 4, oil and wax for healing salves. And finally, number 5, kitchen alchemy with ferments and oxymels. All right, section 1, medicine in your backyard. Identifying potent garden weeds. Now, obviously, before we can craft anything, we actually need to know what we're looking at, right? So we're going to focus on identifying some incredibly useful, super common plants that you probably step on every single day. If you're brand new to this, there are 2 absolute superstars you've got to know. First up, the dandelion. Now I know, this is basically public enemy number 1 for lawn care companies. But wait, every single part of this plant is completely edible. The young greens, packed with vitamins, and the roots can actually be roasted to make this amazing coffee substitute that actively supports liver health. Right next to it, we've got plantain. Now actually scratch that. I don't mean the banana thing. I mean the low-growing weed with the flat leaves and those thick parallel veins. This is literally the ultimate first aid plant. If you ever get a bee sting or a bug bite, you just crush up a fresh plantain leaf and press it right onto the skin. It acts as a natural poultice. It instantly draws out the inflammation and stops the itch dead in its tracks. It's truly amazing stuff. Okay, so now that we've got our herbs gathered up, we're moving into the kitchen. But to do that, you need to learn a foundational term. Think of it almost like a secret password for herbalists, menstruum. Sounds fancy, but it's really simply the solvent or the extraction liquid, stuff like water, alcohol, oil, or vinegar that we use to pull the active chemical constituents out of the plant material. Think of it like this. The plant is your raw material, but the menstruum, that's the key that actually unlocks it. Moving on to section 2, water. Teas and infusions, the absolute simplest extraction method. So the crucial point is really understanding how to use that water, and it totally depends on what part of the plant you actually have. For delicate things, leaves and flowers, a simple hot water steep in a teacup is absolutely perfect. But for the tough stuff, we're talking roots, twigs, bark, or heavily coated seeds, you're gonna need what's called a decoction. This means you are actively boiling those dense plant parts in water. That sustained heat is absolutely crucial because it physically breaks down those super tough plant cell walls to release the medicinal chemicals trapped inside. Let's look at a really practical, super achievable recipe for a fantastic sleepy time tea. It seriously takes just 3 easy steps. First, you're going to dehydrate some lemon balm, which, by the way, grows like crazy, along with some delicate chamomile flowers until they're nice and crispy. Next, you just combine 2 teaspoons of that dried lemon balm with 1 teaspoon of the chamomile in a reusable tea bag. And finally, just pour over your hot water and let it steep for about 3 to 5 minutes. Bam! It's a simple, incredibly effective water infusion that gently preps your body for a great night's sleep. All right, section 3, alcohol. Crafting potent tinctures for long-lasting medicinal extracts. Let's see how this builds on what we just learned. Now, water is fantastic, don't get me wrong, But here's a little secret for you. While some chemical components in plants are water-soluble, almost all of them are alcohol-soluble. So if you want a truly long-lasting, incredibly potent medicinal extract, you're going to want to craft a tincture using what's known as the straightforward folk method. It's super easy. You literally just pack your dried herbs, say nettle or dandelion root, into a glass jar. Next, pour in a standard 40 to 50% alcohol. An 80-proof grocery store vodka works perfectly because it has very little flavor of its own. Just make sure the liquid is about 1 to 2 fingers above the herbs so everything is fully submerged. Pop the lid on, stash in a cool dark place for 4 to 6 weeks, and then strain it out. And because alcohol extracts almost everything, this stuff is extremely potent. You do not drink a cup of this, you literally dose it by the drop. Best part? It'll stay shelf-stable for years.
On to Section 4, Oil and Wax, Healing Salves. This is all about creating topical remedies.
Now, what if you're dealing with a skin issue, or maybe a burn or a sore muscle? Well, we need to shift our menstruum here to extract the fat-soluble chemicals from our plants, allowing us to create these really soothing topical treatments. To make a salve, you first have to make an infused oil. I highly recommend using a good quality extra virgin olive oil for this. You just pack your herbs in a jar, completely cover them with the oil, and then pick one of 3 extraction methods. First, there's the sun method. This is the traditional way. You literally just leave the jar in a warm, sunny spot for about 2 weeks. If you're in a bit more of a hurry, you can use the stovetop method. Set up a double boiler and gently warm your oil and herbs to between 95 and 110 degrees for about an hour. Just whatever you do, don't let it boil. Or finally, you can use the oven method, where you bake your dried herbs right in the oil at 150 degrees for up to 6 hours. Strain it all out, and boom, you have your infused medicinal oil. But here's the thing. An infused oil can be pretty messy, right? It drips everywhere, it spills, and it's definitely hard to just toss into a backpack. That's exactly why we upgrade it to an herbal salve. A salve takes that messy, sloshing liquid and turns it into a portable, highly protective solid. And the math is super simple. The exact ratio you need is 1.25 ounces of beeswax by weight, melted right into 16 ounces of your infused oil by volume. You just gently melt them together in a double boiler, pour that warm liquid straight into a little tin, and as it cools, you literally get to watch the alchemy happen. The wax hardens it into this absolute perfect spreadable ointment. It's so cool.
And finally, Section 5, Kitchen Alchemy, Ferments and Oxymels, Unlocking Maximum Potency.
Okay, here's what the massive supplement industry really doesn't want you to know. 5 times the potency. That's right, when you just eat raw herbs, like a handful of oregano or thyme, your gut actually can't break through those tough plant cell walls very well. You're absorbing maybe, 1 or 2% of the active compounds, but when you introduce lactobacillus bacteria, which is the exact same bacteria that turns cabbage into sauerkraut, by the way, those bacteria systematically dismantle the plant cell walls right from the inside out. They release all those trapped polyphenols and essential oils, effectively increasing the active compounds by up to 5 times. You're creating a highly bioavailable medicine that completely rivals a $55 supplement right on your counter. And the craziest part? It only takes 5 minutes and literally a few cents to kick off this incredibly complex biological process right at home. You just follow 3 simple steps. First, take some fresh herbs, either from your yard or even just the grocery store, and submerge them in non-chlorinated salt water. Second, seal them up tightly in a glass jar. And third, you just wait. That's it. Over the next few days, those lactobacillus bacteria will ferment the herbs, breaking down all the cell walls and making all those incredible compounds brilliantly easy for your body to absorb. Plus, as a bonus, it actually extends the shelf life of the herbs in your fridge for over 6 months. No way, right?
Another amazing form of kitchen alchemy is the oxymel. This is where we use acid and sugar together as a dual menstruum. Let's look at a really powerful recipe using bee balm, which is a super common garden plant that's actually a member of the mint family. You just combine equal parts of dried bee balm flowers, raw local honey, and apple cider vinegar, specifically the kind that still contains the living mother. Give the whole thing a really good shake, let it sit in a dark cabinet for about 4 weeks to extract, and then strain it. Then, whenever you feel a cold coming on, you just take a tablespoon of this daily. It's brilliant because the vinegar pulls out the plant's minerals, the raw honey soothes your throat, and the bee balm steps in to provide that serious medicinal punch.
Now, what's really interesting about this quote is the mindset shift it brings. Your kitchen is a pharmacy. You just never learned how to unlock it. For so long, we've basically been conditioned to think that health comes exclusively inside plastic bottles with child-proof caps, extracted in these massive industrial factories using harsh chemical solvents. But by just understanding basic menstruums, water, alcohol, oil, and fermentation, You are completely taking back the power to create clean, incredibly potent remedies for yourself and your family. Which leaves us with one final thought to close out this explainer today. I want you to literally go look out your window. Think about the dandelions, the plantain, the chickweed, the red clover growing right there. You now have the exact blueprint to transform them into teas, tinctures, salves, and potent ferments. So my challenge to you is pretty simple. What weeds will you step outside and harvest right now?